All right, now this is part two coming back in. We're going to get ready to wrap this up. And I was going to go to another topic. I want to see how it did. I know it started over on Facebook. But YouTube probably continued and other platforms continue. So I'm just checking the platforms to see where we are. Um, and I'm not even going to recap. I'm going to pick up. So we're reading this. There's a boycott that has been called against a religious network simply because of a meme that was put out by the owner of the network. Okay, it looked like something went on. I don't know what went on, y'all. My dog is snoring. All right, we were at about an hour into this. So there's the word network. The Detroit chapter of the NABJ called for a boycott or joined a boycott, and they were asking. They said some 100 prominent black clergy are calling for a boycott of the network and asking for the guy to apologize. Some of the demands, and I don't have all the demands because this was pulled from Twitter, was that he issue an apology, commit to undergo diversity training. I don't think he needs diversity training. I think he's done very well. Yeah, it did. It says interrupted, so it went on to the next one. So if you are on Facebook, just refresh. But I think he's got diversity down. This is what diversity is. Diversity is there's a population out there that everybody around the world is trying to appropriate. They don't want to folk. They don't want to own any of this stuff. So go out there. They're only concerned about money they make after the fact. Nobody is providing. They're not growing, securing, even though they're securing the bags. They are not putting money out there up front. So let me get this. I need to get this watch party going back over here. They're not willing to. So I think that's what diversity is. Okay. He got diversity about diversity ourselves. I'm just saying. Now I need to go back. All right. So now it's put me in the watch party. I mean, I'm trying to do all this stuff, y'all, and be live with y'all all at the same time. Okay, so I got the watch party going. So I'm reading this, like the page Church Folk Revolution. And how many of you do the bedside Baptist on the word? So what they're asking for, after they ask for the apology and they've asked for diversity training, they're saying that. Now this is where they lose everybody. This is where they simply lose everybody. They go on here and say it is doubly disturbing because your station's marketing material, the Word Network, and the radio station add home to black voices. Isn't that every radio station though? Isn't that everything? And we've been listening to Tom Joyner for 50 years on what? On black owned stations? I don't think they've all been black owned stations. So that's not it. And then it goes on. It says being complicit in sharing racist material is both offensive and a betrayal. So again, you've got in we left again trying to explain something that somebody has done that we do ourselves. Okay. Halloween is getting ready to come up. Who ain't gonna put on a pimp costume? I mean, I'm just saying. You gotta, and this is also a conversation that's going on with Ti. You notice Ti and Killer Mike have teamed up, and they want to talk about reinvesting in the community. Well, they're reinvesting in a community where they've already participated in a culture that helped to destroy said community. So the investment that they're making is putting money back in that they took out. So they're out there becoming like the new Cornell and Tavis. I'm confused about that. That Home of the Black Voices being complicit in racist material and so forth and so on. All right, it says Adele is pushing back against this narrative. I didn't create it. I had nothing to do with the meme, Adele said in a Detroit Free Press report Monday. To say that I need diversity training, to say that I need to apologize for something I didn't do. Why would I apologize for something I didn't do? He asked. And then there's a tweet in here. It says at Detroit NABJ's executive board on Monday sent a letter to Adele owner at the Word Network condemning his participation in sending a racist meme to one of the pastors on the network. Okay, so I guess I don't know if he forwarded, tweeted it, or whatever. At the center of the allegations against Adele is Bishop George Bloomer. Okay, 56, somebody mentioned that in there. A longtime televangelist and founder of the Bethel Family Worship Center, a multicultural ministry in Durham. Bloomer alleges that in September, Adele texted a Photoshop image of himself dressed as a pimp, surrounded by well-known black clergy he called hoes, to various staff members, many of whom are black, according to the petition, which is over on change.org. While Bloomer said he told Adele that the meme wasn't funny and to get rid of it, Adele allegedly responded by saying Bloomer was being too sensitive. Because people don't know. And I'm not condoning any of this. I'm just saying it's just more controversy, conflict, because we don't stay on one side of the fence. We keep trying to walk these lines, particularly with the lines that pay bills. We keep trying to walk these lines and so forth. So they've been gone. Bloomer recently left the network as a result of the meme controversy, but Adele disputed that charge as well. Adele told the Detroit Free Press that Bloomer really quit the network because he wanted more airtime and that Bloomer didn't want to make adjustments to the show as suggested by staff. Bloomer, Adele argued, was trying to stir up controversy with the meme to get support to hopefully make changes so he could get back on air. See, they doing too much. They just doing too much. Already disavowed. Adele has already disavowed the meme in question by publicly stating that he had no prior knowledge of the meme and confirmed that it was not created by him. Adele is now expected to meet with the Detroit NABJ Executives Board, and you know what? I would be interested because let me tell you how the I don't let me look at your television. You want to know how those meetings go? Look at your television. They ain't shut down NBC with all the people that were fired and let go from NBC. All the controversy that went there. They ain't helped nobody out at CNN. Okay. In fact, every time CNN fired a blackface, we need a meeting. We need a meeting. And they put another blackface in there. And that blackface came in there without any kind of changes, any kind of meeting of any kind of demands. They just want these. Let me tell you, and it's not always good just simply to have a black face in the place. I mean, that's how we ended up in America, right? It's just not all that good. We need to work on the manifesto and what some of these demands are going to be. But guess what? We wouldn't even get to this point if we just start having the conversation about capital. Stop kicking people out the Facebook groups. Right? Let me go back to the other page. I'm trying to catch up with the comments. Thank you so much for your comments, guys, while we're live on Buzz It or Bash It, formerly, well, still is, how to get out of bed. We need to start talking about capitalism and raising capital. You're out here, go into your Facebook group and start talking about raising capital. See, don't you get put out. I was talking about being part of the Perry Girls when they first started. Sent me a whole book about how the kind of conversations that I was trying to have in the group of women was bringing them out of their space, their safe space. I was disrupting the safe space, trying to talk about how we should promote ourselves. You know, we don't allow any self-promotion. I'm like, that's why we can't grow. That's why people are still looking around wondering where women are as far as innovation. That's why we went all these years talking about learning about hidden figures and how other people, let me see if I can get this on here, how other people, all this innovation have gone on without women. You just now realizing that we didn't get to the moon without women. We didn't fight World War II without women because we keep trying to like be quiet about it. But that's not this podcast. That's our Leading Women podcast, which you can hear Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Tuesdays at 2 p.m. And we are growing over there as well. And we will be talking about capital, why women won't discuss raising capital, to the point that our Forbes list, we only have a couple women on the Forbes list. And when you think about that women control the purse strings around the world, we should be bursting the Forbes list wide open. The numbers just don't lie. And so it's sad that we can't talk about that. But now again, more misleading and more misreading. Again, shout out to Church Folk Revolution on their page for letting us share, because you folk gotta let you share in there. Y'all know that, right? And letting us discuss that. And as well, thank you, Kevin, for coming in and dropping some comments as well. Y'all, more misleading and more misreading, more misleading, more misreading. Oh, the pastor out there speaking in tongues, speaking in tongues, speaking in tongues. Um, I don't know how. I would love to say. I would love to say how embarrassing this is. Whose pastor is this? I asked that yesterday. Whose pastor? I think I found one person that said that this was their pastor. Whose pastor is this? Pastor Wilson began trending this week. Pastor Wilson began trending this week because um, of a very private matter going live and public. Pastor Wilson got all caught up. Now I don't know what his non-denomination, everything that went non-denominational, barely got a cross, ain't got a pulpit, got a stage, pastor ain't got a study but a dressing room. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. And now, but again, here's what I have a problem with is that people are unable to process this. People are unable to say whether it's wrong or right. I'm like, it's wrong. It's all. Can I just tell y'all? Can I just tell y'all? If you don't know, this is wrong. It is wrong. We're not, there is no in between. It's wrong. It's, can I, people don't know. They're like, but pastor, and then they go, but pastor's been doing this. Okay, and I understand, and nobody ever told you to get your, but leave, get up out of there, leave. It's time to go. What do you mean? Wait a minute. Okay, wait. Let me, okay, Linda, let me dial it back. I found the one. I found the one. I found the one. I found the one. Let me go back to the comments. I was trying to catch up with the one I restarted. Okay, Linda says, I don't agree. They don't want to own, but they don't have the means to own because we don't work together. But see, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying they don't want to own. I'm just saying because I have, and just like the knowledge that I have, just like you, I have gone to many of these associations to see how they work in intertwined. I've gone and I've sat at the table. I've gone to all the membership meetings. I've considered joining some of these things, right? I've been invited. I just get invited to the table and I see how they operate. I'm like, okay, this ain't gonna work. And I tell them, like, y'all, this is not gonna work because y'all, the way y'all trying to do this, this is not how business work. This is not how nonprofits work. So to be at this point and to say that all of these preachers, because all we know them is based on we assume that they have amassed a certain amount of wealth because they keep coming before us. Are wealthy. They even call it what, prosperity preaching, right? They're flying around in helicopters. Hell, I almost ran into the bishop's helicopter over here 2 streets over from me because he lands at the daggone car wash and then jumps in the vehicle that speeds him around the corner to the church. I'm turning the corner and the helicopter's trying to control itself in the wind and go up. Instead, it's coming out over the street. And I'm like, I can't be the one about to wreck the bishop's helicopter, right? See what I'm saying? So mind you, and all they talking about, he has this and he has that, and everybody's trying to aspire to that. So you can't come to us now and talk about the great prophets are broke because all they've been talking about is how much money they've been getting. You got me wanting to look at the reality TV where we buying the sports cars. And then you want to say, well, we ain't really got it like that because you got all the loans on the buildings. You got to borrow. Because first of all, if you know the nature of business, ain't no such thing as a profit margin anyway because you done borrowed so much in order to operate your business. And when I ask people, how much did you borrow? They're like, I got my business is, how much did you borrow? And they were like, well, I didn't borrow. Well, I know we live in an era now where you can get a lot of money. You can get a lot of upfront money and then deliver. But these people have been in this place for a minute now. No, not every network claims that. The Word Network does. No, I think there's a lot of networks that consider. I mean, hell, that just came out of the car. I was listening to a station, and the whole narrative on there, the morning show is all black. Every show on there is all black, and it's the community and this and that. and it's not black owned, but the content is the content. The audience is black, right? I mean, that's just been a thing. Hell, look at Norman Lear. Look at all the black shows that he has. So that can't be our argument. That can't be our argument. And when you get down to business, even though you want to say support black business, it's like you said, because they don't work together. We can't support black business because they don't want to work together. The beauty industry, one of the most popular podcasts we did out there was one with the beauty industry, asking them, listen, what's going on? Why don't you guys still have a foothold on these beauty supply stores? Why are we spending $50 million, per community just on the weekend, because they were doing they did a boycott, and they were like, okay, we're gonna boycott. They said in 1 week we will collectively save, keep $50 million out of the beauty industry that we don't own anymore. And I'm like, man, we spending $50 million, but then you go to that community and say, let's take that as capital, let's boycott, but let's take that capital, then invest it. Then that's when black folk turn on each other. If you take these guys, the preachers over here, let me go back and talk about this. If you go to all of those men behind him and tell them, take your revenue from X amount of time and go buy a network, start a network, it's like, and I know what you're gonna say, it's not that easy to own. Well, in the digital realm, it's kind of easy to own. I mean, people are watching all kind of screens and monetizing and so forth. And I know there's always the argument about, being on television and on a major broadcast and on a network and all those kinds of things. But it still comes back to what the last thing you said. We don't work together. We saw the same thing at Tyler Perry. I'm like, man, there's Tyler Perry walking down that carpet. There's Spike Lee. There's Will Smith, and Samuel Jackson, and all of these, And we don't have one project out there where they are all each on in the same credits. They all doing their projects. Go over there to Internet Movie Database, and you can see how many projects that each of them have attached to them right now in this very moment. Will has a movie came out last week and it flopped. He had a movie come at the same time that he was on the red carpet at the opening of Tyler Perry Studios. Did they watch the movie? Did they screen the movie? Did they run the promos, the commercials? Did they all just stop? Hell, you can't even get some of these folks to damn tweet the same thing. Hell, Beyonce was in what's that? Lion King. She